Welcome to the Deep Dive, everybody, and a special shout-out to all you F1 blogs, YouTube subscribers out there. You know, the driver market is always crazy, but this year, things have gotten really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's gotten spicy for sure.
We're talking ambition risk, maybe even a bit of F1 subterfuge going on here.
Definitely, and I think at the heart of it all is this young driver, Franco Colapinto.
Right.
Two big teams in play, Alpine and Williams. And a rookie driver, Jack DOOHAN, whose future might be a lot less certain than he thinks it is.
Okay, so let's start with this move by Alpine, because this has got everyone scratching their heads.
Yeah.
They just signed Colapinto as a reserve driver, even though they already have DOOHAN lined up for 2025.
Right.
What's the strategy here? It seems like a really odd move.
Well, to understand Alpine's thinking, I think we need to look at the man calling the shots, FLAVIO BRIATORE.
Oh, yeah.
He's Alpine's executive advisor, and he's known for being pretty ruthless. He wants to win, and he's not afraid to make tough decisions, especially when it comes to drivers.
Yeah, he's definitely got a history of shaking things up.
He does.
But, you know, signing DOOHAN for 2025 seemed like a pretty clear vote of confidence.
Well, it might seem that way on the surface, but, you know, BRIATORE hasn't exactly been singing DOOHAN's praises.
Right.
He's made comments suggesting that DOOHAN was maybe more of a legacy choice.
Interesting.
And on the other hand, he has very publicly called Colapinto one of the best young talents he's ever seen.
Wow.
So that really makes you wonder, you know, what are his true intentions here?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it does sound like BRIATORE have a certain type of driver in mind. Like, does he favor rookies over veterans, or maybe drivers with, you know, strong financial backing?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something worth considering. You know, if you look back at BRIATORE's career, you do see a pattern of choosing drivers who are not just talented, but also very marketable and, you know, capable of handling that immense pressure that comes with being in Formula One.
Okay, so are you saying then that Colapinto fits that mold a little bit better than DOOHAN does?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colapinto has generated a ton of buzz already.
Yeah.
Remember, even Red Bull was sniffing around him.
Yeah, that's right.
So that kind of attention, combined with his obvious talent, makes him a very valuable asset, both on and off the track.
Okay, so clearly there's more to this Colapinto signing than meets the eye. Let's talk about Colapinto himself then. Like, what makes him so special that even Red Bull was interested?
Right.
You mentioned he had a really impressive debut with Williams.
He did.
Remind us what happened there.
Yeah, so Colapinto was originally signed with Williams for just a partial season in 2024. He was basically filling in for an injured driver.
Okay.
It was a calculated risk for both sides. You know, Williams needed a driver.
Right.
And Colapinto got a chance to prove himself at the highest level.
And he did.
Oh, he absolutely did.
He scored points in his second race. Outperformed his teammate Alex Albon, who's a much more experienced driver.
Exactly. He exceeded all expectations, I think, including Williams's.
Yeah.
And that's why they locked him in for 2025, even before the season was over.
Okay, so then they let him go to Alpine. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. Like, why would Williams release a driver with this much potential, especially after they'd already secured him for 2025?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive at first.
Yeah, it really does.
But if you look at it from a business perspective, it was a brilliant move. You know, Williams already had their driver lineup set for 2025.
Right.
So they didn't actually have a seat for Colapinto right away.
Okay.
But they recognized his value had gone way up after his performance.
Yeah.
And they saw an opportunity.
So you're saying they kind of cashed in on their investment?
Exactly. They knew another team would come knocking. And they probably got a nice little payout from Alpine to release him from his contract.
Oh, wow.
So it's really a win-win. Williams got a financial boost, and Colapinto got a chance to move to a team with potentially, you know, bigger ambitions.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now.
And it probably frees up resources for Williams to focus on developing other young drivers in their academy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. It's easy to forget that F1 is as much a business as it is about racing.
Absolutely. And this move by Williams just goes to show that even, you know, the smaller teams, they can play the game strategically.
Okay, so Williams played their hand perfectly.
They did.
But what does all this mean for Jack DOOHAN?
Right.
The poor guy just secured his dream F1 seat for 2025.
Yeah.
And now he's got this rising star breathing down his neck.
Yeah, and there's been rumors of a performance clause in DOOHAN'S contract.
Oh, hold on now. For people who might not be super familiar with F1 contracts, can you explain what a performance clause is?
Sure, yeah. It's basically a safety net for the team.
Okay.
So it allows them to replace a driver if they don't meet certain performance targets during the season. It's actually pretty common in Formula One.
So if DOOHAN doesn't do well in those first few races, Alpine could basically activate this clause and bring in Colapinto.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility.
Wow.
And to make matters worse, his debut race in Abu Dhabi last season
Right.
might already count towards those crucial early races.
Oh, man, talk about pressure.
Yeah.
Every single race is going to feel like a test with Colapinto waiting in the wings.
How do you think DOOHAN is handling this? I mean, that's going to be incredibly difficult to have that hanging over you.
I can't imagine. Yeah, it's got to be super stressful.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how he responds to the challenge. I mean, some drivers thrive under pressure,
Right.
while others, crumble.
Okay, so what does all this mean for the wider driver market then? Does Colapinto's move to Alpine kind of set off a chain reaction? Or other young drivers going to be looking over their shoulders now?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a high-stakes game of musical chairs with everybody trying to, snag the best seat.
Yeah. And DOOHAN's not just some random rookie. He's
Right.
earned his spot.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked his way up through the ranks,
Yeah.
winning races in Formula 4 or Formula 3, Formula 2.
He's got the talent and the pedigree to be there.
He absolutely does.
And, I've read that he's known for having a really strong work ethic and a really positive attitude.
Uh-huh.
He seems to have embraced being part of the Alpine team even when he was just a reserve driver.
That's a good point. In a team sport like F1,
Right.
it's not just about raw speed. It's also about how you fit into the team dynamics, how you work with the engineers, and how you handle the pressure.
Okay, so are you saying then that DOOHAN's attitude and his work ethic could actually work in his favor? Maybe that's part of why Alpine signed him in the first place.
It's certainly possible.
Blah.
Remember when Alpine was making their decision for that 2025 driver lineup?
Right.
They had other, experienced drivers in the mix, like Valtteri Bottas,
Oh, yeah.
Mick Schumacher.
Big names.
Yeah, and DOOHAN actually outperformed both of them in testing.
Wow.
So that showed Alpine that he had, not just the potential as a driver,
Yeah.
but as someone who could really contribute positively to the team.
So he's got the talent,
Yeah.
the right attitude,
Uh-huh.
the team support, at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
But how is he going to cope with this added pressure from Colapinto?
Mm-hmm.
Can he step up his game, do you think?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We'll have to see how he handles it. Some drivers thrive under pressure,
Right?
but others falter.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out between the two of them.
This whole thing reminds me a little bit of what happened with Oscar Piastri a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the whole Piastri saga?
That was a whole other level of driver market drama.
It was.
Yeah.
And for those who might not remember, Piastri was Alpine's reserve driver.
Right.
But he ended up signing with McLaren for 2023, even though Alpine thought they had him locked in.
They did, yeah.
It caused a huge controversy.
A huge controversy.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you how complex this web of contracts and negotiations can be in Formula One.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So could we see something similar happen with Colapinto, do you think? Is it possible that he's using Alpine as a stepping stone to a bigger team further down the line?
Yeah.
After all, he did get that interest from Red Bull.
It's not impossible.
Yeah.
Colapinto's a hot commodity right now, and other teams are definitely watching him closely.
Right.
So this whole situation could get very interesting very quickly.
It really could. This is what makes the driver market so captivating.
Yeah.
It's like a constantly shifting landscape with teams and drivers all trying to outmaneuver each other.
It's a game of strategy, timing, and a little bit of luck.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Alpine's motivations,
Mm-hmm.
DOOHAN's predicament.
Right.
But I want to circle back to Williams for a second because I'm still a little bit curious about their decision to let Colapinto go. You said that they made a smart business move.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't it a bit of a gamble?
Sure.
What if he hadn't performed as well as he did
Yeah,
at Williams?
that's fair. Yeah, it was a calculated risk for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If Colapinto hadn't lived up to the hype,
Yeah.
they might have been stuck with a driver they didn't really have a place for.
Okay.
But, Williams has a long history of developing talented drivers.
They do.
They have a pretty good eye for potential.
So they were confident enough in Colapinto's abilities to take that risk.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And remember, even if Colapinto hadn't performed well, they still had Albon and Sainz locked in for 2025.
Right.
So they weren't putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, so they were hedging their bets a little bit.
Yeah.
But even if it was a smart business decision, it still seems a little strange to let go of a driver who was clearly performing well.
Right.
Was there something more to it? Were there any rumors of personality clashes or disagreements behind the scenes?
Not that I've heard, no. Everything we've heard actually suggests that Colapinto had a really good relationship with the team.
So it really was just a business decision. They just saw an opportunity to capitalize on his rising stock.
That seems to be the case.
Right.
And, to be fair to Williams, they did give Colapinto a platform to showcase his talent.
Right.
They took a chance on him when other teams might not have.
That's true.
So they definitely played a key role in his development.
Okay, so for Colapinto then, was this move to Alpine a good thing? I mean, he's now at a team with higher ambitions.
Right.
More resources.
Mm-hmm. It's a double-edged sword.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
On the one hand, he's with a team that's capable of winning races.
Right.
Challenging for championships.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge opportunity for any driver, let alone a young driver.
Right. And he'll be learning from a really experienced teammate in Esteban Ocon.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be invaluable for his development.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, he's now in a much more intense environment, more competitive environment.
For sure.
He's got to prove himself against, more established drivers.
Right.
And he's got all this pressure of living up to the hype.
Exactly. Yeah.
And let's not forget about Doohan, right? Who's still there.
Yeah.
Fighting for his F1 future.
He is.
It's a high-stakes game for both of them.
It really is. And it's going to be fascinating to see how they both handle it.
Yeah.
Will Doohan rise to the challenge?
Right.
Will he prove that he deserves that seat?
Yeah.
Or will Colapinto seize the opportunity and make it his own?
This is what we love about Formula One.
I know, right?
It's full of drama, intrigue, unexpected twists.
Yeah.
And this situation is a prime example of that.
It is.
We're going to be following this very closely all season to see how it unfolds.
We will.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to be discussing the wider implications of this move for the rest of the driver market.
Good stuff.
Stay with us.
All right. Yeah, it really is incredible how one move can just kind of send shockwaves through the whole driver market. This whole Colapinto-Doohan situation really has thrown a wrench into things.
It has.
I think a lot of other young drivers hoping to break into Formula One, they're watching this really closely.
It's got to be nerve-wracking.
Oh, for sure.
It is like a high-stakes game of musical chairs.
Yeah, it is.
But, let's not forget,
Right.
Doohan's not just some random rookie.
No, he's not.
He's earned his spot on the grid.
Absolutely she has.
He's worked his way up through the ranks, winning in Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2.
Yeah, he's got the talent.
He's got the talent. He's got the pedigree.
The pedigree.
And I've read that he's known for having a really strong work ethic.
Yeah.
And a really positive attitude.
I've heard the same thing.
He seemed to really embrace being part of that Alpine team, even when he was just a reserve driver.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because in a team sport like this, it's not just about raw speed.
Yeah, of course not.
It's about how you fit into the team.
Right.
How you work with the engineers, how you handle the pressure.
So you're saying that Doohan's attitude and work ethic could actually work in his favor here?
I think it could, yeah.
Okay.
I think it could. And, remember when Alpine was making that decision for the 2025 driver lineup? They had other experienced drivers in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
Like Bottas.
Schumacher.
Huge names.
Big names. And Doohan actually outperformed both of them in testing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that showed Alpine that he had the potential.
Yeah.
Not just as a driver.
Right.
But as someone who could really contribute to the team.
Okay, so he's got the talent.
He does.
He's got the right attitude.
Yeah.
He's got the team support, at least for now.
But how's he going to cope with this added pressure from Colapinto?
Yeah.
Can he step up his game?
That's the big question, isn't it?
That is the big question.
Then we'll have to see how he handles it. Some drivers thrive under pressure.
Right.
Others, completely fall apart.
Okay. So it really remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
This whole thing reminds me a little bit of what happened with Oscar Piastri.
Oh, yeah.
A couple years ago.
Oh, yeah, the Piastri saga.
The Piastri saga.
Yeah, was crazy.
It was another level of driver market drama.
For sure.
And for those who might not remember,
Right.
Piastri was Alpine's reserve driver.
Yeah.
But he ended up signing with McLaren for 2023.
Yeah.
Even though Alpine thought that they had him.
They thought they had him locked in.
Totally locked in.
Yeah.
It caused a huge controversy.
Oh, yeah. A massive controversy.
It really did.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show
how
complicated these contracts and negotiations can be in Formula One.
Yeah, it's wild.
So could we see something similar happen with Colapinto? You know, could he be using Alpine as a stepping stone to another team further down the line?
It's not impossible.
Right.
I mean, he did have that interest from Red Bull.
Yeah. And he's a hot commodity right now.
He is.
So other teams are definitely watching him.
They're keeping a close eye on him.
This could get very interesting.
Oh, it could get very interesting very quickly.
This is what makes the driver market so captivating.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like a constantly shifting landscape.
Yeah, it is.
With teams and drivers all trying to outmaneuver each other.
It's a game of chess.
It really is.
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Alpine, DOOHAN'S predicament.
Right.
But I want to circle back to Williams for a sec.
Yeah.
Because I'm still a little bit curious about their decision to let Colapinto go. You said they made a smart business move.
I did.
But wasn't it a bit of a gamble?
It was a gamble.
What if he hadn't performed well?
Yeah, that's a good point.
At Williams.
It was a calculated risk, for sure. If Colapinto hadn't, lived up to the hype, they might have been stuck with a driver they didn't really have room for.
Yeah, that's true.
But, Williams has a really long history of developing some really talented drivers.
They do. They've got a good eye for potential.
They do.
So they were confident enough in his abilities
to
take that risk.
I think so.
Yeah.
And remember, even if Colapinto hadn't performed well, they still had Albon and Saints.
Yeah, that's true.
For 2025, so they weren't putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, so they were hedging their bets a little bit.
They were, for sure.
But even if it was a smart business decision, it still seems kind of odd to let go of a driver who was clearly doing really well. Was there something more to it?
What,
Were there rumors of personality clashes?
Oh.
Or disagreements behind the scenes?
Not that I've heard, no. As far as I know, everything seemed fine.
So it really was purely a business decision?
Yeah, they saw an opportunity to capitalize on his rising stock.
Okay, so for Colapinto then, was this move to Alpine a good thing? I mean, he's now with a team that has higher ambitions, more resources.
More money.
Is this a step up for him?
It's a double-edged sword, I think.
Okay, how so?
Well, on one hand, he's with a team that's capable of winning. Challenging for the championship. I mean, that's a huge opportunity for any driver.
Of course.
Let alone a young driver. And he's going to be learning from a very experienced teammate in Ocon. I mean, that's invaluable.
Yeah, for sure.
But on the other hand, he's in a much more intense environment now.
Yeah, it's more cutthroat.
Much more competitive.
Yeah.
He's got to prove himself against some really established drivers. And he's got the pressure of living up to the hype.
It's a lot to handle.
It is, yeah.
Especially for a young driver.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, DOOHAN'S still there.
He's still there.
Fighting for his F1 future as well.
Absolutely.
It's a high-stakes game for both of them.
It really is.
It is.
And it's going to be fascinating to see
how
they both handle it.
Yeah.
Will DOOHAN, rise to the challenge, prove that he deserves that seat, or will Colapinto seize the opportunity and make it his own?
This is what we love about Formula One.
I know, it's so unpredictable.
It's so dramatic.
So much
unexpected twists.
Yeah, this situation is a prime example of that.
It really is. We're going to be following this very closely.
Oh, yeah.
All season long.
Can't wait.
To see how it all plays out.
Me neither.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
But when we come back, we're going to be discussing the wider implications of this move for the rest of the driver market.
Sounds good.
It's amazing how this whole situation has had like a ripple effect.
Yeah, it really has.
On the entire driver market.
It's crazy.
Like one move triggers another, and it's impossible to predict where it's all going to end up.
It really is. And, it highlights the cutthroat nature of Formula One.
Right.
It's not enough to just be talented.
Of course not.
You need the right timing, the right strategy, and a little bit of luck.
Yeah, for sure. And Speaking of timing and strategy,
Right.
what do you think this means for the other young drivers
Mm.
in the Alpine Academy? You know, they're all working hard trying to climb that ladder to F1.
Yeah.
But now they've got Colapinto,
Right.
who's essentially like jumped the queue.
Yeah, it's got to be tough for
It's
them.
got to be demoralizing.
You have guys like Victor Martins, the
Yeah.
reigning Formula 3 champ,
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel Amini, who's shown incredible potential.
Right.
I mean, they're probably hoping for a shot at
Yep.
that reserve driver role.
And then you've got Ollie Doohan,
Right.
Jack's younger brother. Yeah, another one.
He's coming up through the ranks as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's generating a lot of buzz.
He is, yeah. He's a talented kid.
So it seems like Alpine has like an abundance of young talent,
Yeah, they do.
but only so many seats available.
That's the problem.
Right.
It's a good problem to have in a way. You know, it creates healthy competition,
Sure. Yeah.
pushes everyone to perform at their best.
But it also makes you wonder
Yeah.
if some of these drivers might start looking elsewhere.
Right?
You know, if they feel like their path to F1 is blocked at Alpine.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, could we see some of them jump ship to other teams,
Possibly, yeah.
hoping for a faster track to a race seat?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, driver loyalty is important, but
Yeah.
every driver wants to be on that starting grid.
Of course.
So they have to make the decisions
Yeah.
that are best for their own careers.
This is what makes the driver market so fascinating.
It is.
It's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a puzzle with all the pieces.
Constantly moving around.
It really is.
And it's not just about the drivers.
Right.
You know, this whole situation could have implications for the teams as well.
Oh, for sure.
Could we see other teams trying to poach young talent from Alpine's academy?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Or could this even lead to more like strategic partnerships? You know, collaborations between teams.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, the driver market is all about maximizing opportunities.
Right.
Minimizing risk.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Alpine holds a lot of cards
Yeah, they do.
with all that young talent.
It's a reminder that, you know, even in a sport
Yeah.
as technologically advanced as Formula One is,
Mhm.
the human element
Yeah.
is still what drives the narrative.
At the end of the day, it is.
It's all about the ambitions, the rivalries, the pressures.
The human drama
It's the drama.
that makes it so compelling.
It's what keeps us all coming back for more.
Exactly.
And this Colapinto DOOHAN'S situation
Right.
is just the tip of the iceberg, I think.
I think so, too.
You know, we're going to be keeping a very close eye
Oh, yeah.
on this story
Sure.
all season long
Can't wait to see what happens.
to see how it all unfolds.
You either.
And who knows what other surprises the driver market has in store for us.
Oh, there's always surprises.
Always surprises.
That's the beauty of Formula One.
Buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride.
It always is.
It always is. And for all of you watching on the F1 Blogs YouTube channel,
Yeah.
don't forget to hit that subscribe button
Yeah, smash that button.
and share this deep dive with your fellow F1 enthusiasts.
Spread the word.
We'll be back soon with more insights and analysis as the 2025 F1 season kicks off.
Looking forward to it.